Our speaker for the second annual Summer Garden Fest next weekend is going to be Lauren Springer, who lives in the Denver area. So we've come up here to Colorado, to the Denver Botanic Garden, to take a look at some of the gardens that Lauren has designed. Well, let's go inside and take a look at some of those. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Steve.
Thanks for having us up to your garden.
Hey, my pleasure.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, we've had a real nice, cool, slow spring, so things are just lasting longer than usual. Often we'll get this hot wind and the flowers will last like 2 days. So
we know a little bit about wind in Oklahoma as well. We get
yeah.
some of that hot wind. So what all is your involvement here at the Denver Botanic Garden?
Well, I've designed 4 of the gardens here, and I teach courses in the certificate program here for interested adults.
Okay. And I understand this is one of the gardens, just one of the gardens that you designed here. And which one are we looking at here?
This is the fragrance garden. And then most of the plants in here, not all, but many are grown in this particular area because they have fragrant foliage or fragrant flowers. Okay.
I see a really nice shrub back here that I'm not real familiar with the pale pink flowers.
That's actually just recently been reintroduced into the trade. It's called Lonicera colocowii, the blue velvet honeysuckle. And it's blue velvet because the foliage has a real nice, soft, bluish color to it. And it's a big, beautiful shrub. And it's been around for a long time, but it hasn't been in the trade. And it just was reintroduced about 5 years ago.
We'll have to try that one in Oklahoma. I see you've got several shrubs in here and different colors and things like that.
Well, when you have a big garden like this, I think the idea, if all you did was perennials here, you wouldn't have a lot of structure, you wouldn't have a lot of foliage interest, you wouldn't have height. So the best thing to do really is to mix a lot of different things in, and the shrubs give it interest for a longer season. And you see a lot of gold foliage shrubs here.
It's beautiful.
It really seems to make the place glow. And when things are not so colorful, like right now, this is more of a summer garden, so in the spring, the foliage, if you didn't have that foliage color, you'd really lose a lot. You just have lumpy, bumpy green and a few flowers here and there, but the foliage of the golden shrubs really helps a lot.
Okay, well, I really love the idea of using shrubs in what would be a very large, I guess, perennial border or perennial planting, so the shrubs really fit into the scale of the larger garden. I like that concept. I really like the mix of plants you've got right here.
Well, even in this little teeny area, it's sort of a perfect example of what a mixed border is about. What you have here going on is you have a shrub, a rose, you've got a vine in the back, which is a clematis, then you have some perennials, some yarrow, the silverleaf plant there coming on, and the lady's mantle in the foreground. And then the bulbs here are alliums. That particular allium is Purple Sensation, and the beautiful foliage of the striped variegated iris. So what you're getting here is all these different players coming together, and the sum is greater than the parts.
I think it's a great combination, and that's something that we could do pretty well even in Oklahoma. So Lauren, what is this garden?
Well, this is called a romantic garden. And well, what's romantic to one person isn't necessarily romantic to another. So when I designed this, it was a bit of a challenge because a lot of people wanted pink, silver, blue, sort of the Laura Ashley thing.
Sure.
You know, and my idea of romantic is sort of passionate, smoldering colors. So we had some interesting discussions, but I won.
Okay.
So it's really more of a summer and fall garden. This early in the spring, things haven't really filled out yet, but most of the things that flower in here are really strong colors. There's a lot of purples, reds, oranges, magentas, really, really rich, deep
bright
colors. Yeah.
Okay, well that's exciting. I notice you've got some interesting columns or pillars in here, and that makes a really nice element.
These were actually designed by 2 artists, Little and Lewis. They're out of the Seattle area. They do a lot of real interesting stuff with colored concrete. And the reason we put them in, I really felt like these beds were very narrow. And I think a lot of us who don't have big spaces in our gardens have a problem with how do we get height in an area. If we put a plant in there that was really tall, that would take up so much space, there wouldn't be as much room for as much diversity. So how do we get height without taking up the whole bed? And so this was a real easy fix. And real interesting, cool colors too. So
I
kind
think
of added
so.
to the
Yeah, really neat effect.
Yeah.
You have a lot of grasses in this garden as well.
Yeah, I'm an absolute grass lover. They're pretty much, those are one of my very favorite groups of plants, and they look so right here in Colorado. We live in a shortgrass prairie, and it's windy here and sunny here, and grasses celebrate wind and sun and light, and so they're a really nice element in the garden.
You get that movement in the
Yeah,
garden
and
with
backlighting and
the grass blades.
Yeah.
We love grasses in our Oklahoma gardens as well.
Well, you got a lot of light and wind too.
Yeah. Well, Lauren, I can't wait until you come to Stillwater to see our rock garden there at our studio gardens. But the rock garden here at the Denver Botanic Garden is just incredible. How long has this garden been here?
It's about 22 years old now. It's really what put Denver Botanic Gardens on the map. It's internationally renowned thanks to the man who put it together, Panayiotis Kelaides, who he's been our guru for Rocky Mountain horticulture. He's just been so generous and so experimental and shared so many plants with the nursery trade and gardeners.
I've heard a lot about him, and certainly he did a wonderful job here. Lauren, I see some of our Oklahoma native plants in this garden. I'm amazed to see that. This is a plant we call perky-suit, little Hymenopsis.
Yeah, we actually call it Old Man of the Mountain. It's native in Colorado. We share a lot of plants, just Great Plains flora. I'm sure there's quite a bit of overlap between our states.
Yeah. I really love the different foliage of the plants we've got here. I love the little cushions, the little carpeting plants, the silver colored foliage plants. And in Oklahoma we grow this a lot. It's not native, but we see it in a lot of our gardens, little phlox subulata. But the little purple plant beside it is new to me. What do we have there?
That's Aubrietia, which is known as rock cress. It's most of them come from Greece or from other parts of the Mediterranean. And they're a spring blooming mustard, real pretty, real showy, high on the Q quotient like most rock garden plants.
Okay, so we'll have to try that one.
Yeah, I think that might too. It can take a lot of heat.
Okay. Right here we have a shrub that I think a lot of people would be familiar with for, I guess, medicinal purposes or something like that. This is one of the ephedras, is that correct?
Right, joint firs. Yeah, they're used for very controversially for dieting now, but also known as Mormon tea. Our native Western ephedras were called Mormon tea.
Interesting plant. Right up here I see a very interesting collection of plants as well. Lots of succulents, some little bulbs, and even some colorful little shrubby plants.
This is rock gardening at its best. It's just combining a lot of different interesting plants with really cool forms that are beautiful even when they're not blooming. So yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff, starting with the broom at the top. That's Cytisus purgans, known as Spanish broom, and it's really the hardiest and most clay-tolerant broom that we've discovered works for us in Colorado. Most brooms tend to prefer a real light soil, and this one thrives in our heavy, heavy clay soils. And right below it is this beautiful allium. It's a bulb, Allium carataviense, with the gorgeous wide foliage and the star-like flowers. And then the common hens and chicks, which are wonderful and easy to grow. I think a lot of us started gardening with hens and chicks. I know I did. And
yeah.
A little broom here too, a real nice low-growing broom, Cytisus decumbens.
Very colorful. And
yeah.
then you really love the junipers, right?
Yes, I do. You know, I have a bone to pick with gardeners who think they've risen above the common plants. There's always room for a beautiful plant, no matter how common it is. And here we are with growing some of the more unusual plants mixed in here, and Panayiotis realized that junipers are beautiful. They give us really interesting winter color and textural interest and a wonderful cascading habit, and so why not include them in this very esoteric grouping? There's nothing wrong with that.
And they're very tough plants as well.
Yes, they are.
Very, very pretty. Well, see, we've got more hens and chicks over here, and again, kind of the same thing, the mix of different types of plant material. And the mulch, the gravel mulch that's been used in here is really attractive as well, and that serves a purpose also correct?
Yes, we use a lot of gravel mulches here in Colorado. One of the reasons is we have such extreme temperature fluctuations. Our sunlight's so strong during the day, even in the winter, it can really cook the soil, and then at night it will get very, very cold. And the mulches help moderate that. And they look natural here. We're not called the Rockies for nothing. We're a rural rocky place, so it looks right.
Well, I think it looks fantastic. I could spend, I think, all day in the rock garden here at the Denver Botanic Gardens. So. Well, Lauren, right here near the entrance of the Denver Botanic Garden is a very beautiful garden, and I understand this is also one that you put together. What garden is this?
This is the Water Smart Garden, and it was the first garden I designed here. It's 8 years old now. It's my favorite. A lot of the reasons is because it's beautiful every month of the year, but the main reason is really because it's done a lot for the people in Colorado, showing them how you can have a beautiful garden with less water. There's so many people moving into our state from other parts of the country, and we've been in drought for 3 years, and a lot of people come here and think, well, if we don't have water, we can't have a beautiful garden. And this garden has really helped change those attitudes and given people hope and getting them excited about gardening with less water.
Okay. Well, in our program and lots of other gardening magazines and literature around the country, we hear the word xeriscape. Now, that's a word that was coined right here at the Denver Botanic Garden, correct?
Yes. Denver Water Board and Denver Botanic Gardens actually trademarked the term. So what it really means, it's actually Greek combination of xeric meaning dry and scape meaning the landscape. Mm-hmm. So a dry landscape.
Not xeroscape.
No, and that's one of the reasons I'm not crazy about the word, because it gets mispronounced, and a lot of people call it xeroscape, and that's exactly not what we want people to think. We want to think about opportunities rather than limitations.
Absolutely, because you look at this and there's nothing zero about this garden.
Right.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that is evergreen. There's bulbs from January on into the spring in bloom. There's beautiful color in May and June, obviously, and then we have a lot of stuff that comes on. A lot of our native plants come on late in the season in August and September with monsoon. So it really is a four-season garden.
I think it's spectacular.
Well,
Lauren, next week when you come to Stillwater and you give your presentation, the Resonant Garden, I know a lot of people watching will want to know a little bit more about what you're going to be talking about. So what all does that entail?
Well, it is sort of a title. It probably doesn't mean a whole lot to a lot of people. Basically what I'm going to be talking about is the idea of putting together a garden, either from scratch or when you're renovating your garden or doing a new area, how to get in touch with really your own personality and bringing that out in the garden and having the courage to express yourself in the garden, and also to express your region and also your neighborhood, to be able to blend your own personality, some kind of a regional sense, and also the site specifics to really create unique gardens, because a lot of Americans are still shy about really expressing themselves outdoors. They do wild and crazy and fun things inside, and yet they get very nervous about doing something in their front garden that looks different.
Okay, so it'll be a personalized garden.
Yeah, it'll be about garden design to make it more personal and more you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Lauren, I appreciate the tour very much.
Well,
Can't wait to
thanks.
see you next week.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Thanks.